And so here's a cool story. Imagine being one of the most successful businessmen in the world back in the early 1900s. You see, you changed the industry. You built a company that primarily changed humanity forever. And then you were called ignorant. This is exactly what happened. It's happened to Henry Ford. So you see, in 1919, I believe that it was, a newspaper article attacked him publicly. They called him an ignorant idealist. Can you imagine? They claimed that he was uneducated. They said that he lacked overall knowledge of basic skills, that he wasn't qualified to speak on overall important issues. Henry Ford wasn't going to let that stand, though, obviously, nor would I. So, of course, he did what most people did, and he sued him for libel. But what happened next became one of the most famous courtroom moments in history. The newspaper's attorneys, they had a strategy. They believed if they could prove that Henry Ford wasn't educated, they could embarrass him in front of the whole entire country. So during the trial, they began firing question after question. They asked him history questions, geography questions. They asked him political questions, questions they thought that every educated man at that time should know. Even one of the attorneys asked him, simply put, who was Benedict Arnold? Asked another question similar to what was the Revolutionary War? And then they asked another and another question after question after question. And this went on for hours. I think even the judge himself was getting a little exhausted. But the overall goal was simple. They wanted to make Henry Ford look stupid. And for a while, I guess it seemed like it was working. Ford couldn't answer many of the questions that they asked him. If you think about it, he wasn't a scholar. He hadn't spent any of his life really memorizing historical dates and trivia. The courtroom themselves, they just started to watch closely. The attorneys thought that they had him, but then Henry Ford did something that was incredible. And what he said changed literally everything. Ford looked directly at the attorney and he said, look, man, I have a row of electric buttons on my desk, and by pushing the right question, I can summon a person who answers any question that you want me to ask, and it doesn't take away from my efforts. And then he continued, he said, so why should I clutter my mind with general knowledge when I have men around me that can supply knowledge that I require? Everyone was silent. The courtroom froze, and in one statement, Ford exposed the flaw that still exists today, the belief that intelligence is measured by how many facts that you can memorize. And Ford's point was simple. Success isn't about knowing everything. It's about knowing what truly matters. It's about solving problems. It's about chasing your dream, building systems, leading people, understanding creativity, bringing it to the marketplace, and assembling talented individuals around you to make a dream a reality. So think about it. Henry Ford didn't just build a Model T because he knew every answer. He built it because he knew how to find the answers. He knew how to attract talent. He knew how to organize people towards a common goal. And he understood overall the best, which is leverage. And that's a lesson that many people miss, and a lot of people haven't heard this story. So today we carry more information in our pocket than the entire universities possessed centuries ago. Information just isn't rare anymore. Wisdom is. Execution is. Leadership is what is rare. The ability to bring people together and build something very special. See, Henry Ford's critics thought that intelligence was measured by overall memory. Ford believed intelligence was measured by results, and the results spoke for themselves. By the time of the trial, Ford had built one of the largest companies on earth, one you still know today. He had revolutionized manufacturing, created jobs for thousands, and helped make automobiles available for ordinary people. It's not because he knew everything, but because he understood something much, much greater. No one succeeds simply alone. You see, the smartest people in the world are often not the ones with all the answers. They're the people that know where to find the answers, to ask the right questions. My favorite teacher, Jim Rohn, would say successful people are simply people with successful habits. And one of those habits is learning from other people, building your network, finding overall mentors, having the mirror effect. You find somebody who has a life that you want, do what they do, say what they say, get what they get, and surrounding yourself with people who are strong in specific areas that you want to grow in. And Henry Ford understood this long before he even became popular. So the next time you feel like you don't know enough, simply remember this. You do not need to know everything. You need to stay curious, you need to keep learning, and most importantly, you need to find people in your inner circle that can help you grow and build one autonomous overall dream. You need to build a team, a network, a circle of people who can help you go farther than you could ever go alone. Because as Henry Ford proved in that courtroom over 100 years ago, the power isn't having all the answers, the power is knowing how to find them. So, it's a great lesson that we can all learn from. And the overall is that most successful people, they're just self-aware. If you're gonna think all day, you might as well think about what you want. 85% of the thoughts or thinking come from visual stimuli.